I just saw a meme where LeBron James is making more money than the entire WNBA.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He said he's making 37 million. The entire rosters of all the WNBA is not making that. And I'm not saying that the best player in the WNBA should be making 37 million because they're not playing 82 games a season. They're not, they're not. They don't have stadiums packed like the NBA does.
Mm-hmm.
But somewhere I gotta think they should be doing better than this.
So I think there's a mix of reasons why they're not making more money. I mean, basically, what it comes down to at the end of the day is they're not generating enough income to be paid more. That's just, from everything I've read, that's just a bona fide fact. Yes, that LeBron is making more money than all of them combined, but he's also generating several times more money than arguably all of them combined. So the question has to become, how do you put a product out on the floor that people will come out and support and fill the arenas for? And I feel like a lot of the things that have been suggested to improve the WNBA, people are against, such as lowering the rim so that some of these women can actually dunk and do some of the things that you would be able to see in an NBA game. And I also feel like, I feel like the reason that WNBA doesn't do well financially is the same reason why abortion rights were taken away. Women don't support other women. They just don't. And it seems like all the people who express a lot of passion about these issues don't want to deal with that. They always want to make it about, well, men need to do something about this. LeBron James should speak up more. He should support the WNBA more. They never want to say what is the real honest truth. Women don't support other women, and it is very difficult to be successful in any sort of business aspect in this country without the support of women. All those little Republican candidates who came together and propped up the Supreme Court and propped up Trump and said, "Yo, we're going to get rid of abortion all across the country," they got elected with strong support from women. So until women decide that they want the WNBA to do well, it will do poorly because it's not going to be men filling up those seats. It's just not. So women have to decide that it's important to them. And I feel like the people who are speaking on this publicly need to be honest about the issue instead of saying what women want to hear, that men should do more, men should be making this happen, blah, 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 blah. This is not a men's issue. It's just not. Y'all need to support the things that are there for you.
Well, I think always the question how much of it is men, how much of it is women, and I gotta say when you look back at the totality of history, it all stems from men deciding that they're going to be the dominant and women
Historically.
be the subs.
Historically.
But and for perspective, because I know somebody who listens to this is going to go, wait, you just said she makes over $200,000 a year.
Mhm.
So why is she struggling? So let me put that in perspective, right? $200,000 a year. It's great money if you were able to make it for the next 30 years, right?
Mhm.
But she might have, and especially after this situation, who knows how many more years, if any. She's 31 now. How many more years would she have had in the WNBA to play and make this? She didn't start off in the WNBA making $200,000 a year. So then, realistically, let's say she were to retire by 35 from the WNBA. Does she have the money to live the rest of her life? Right? Or is she going to find a job that's going to pay her nearly that much? Is she going to be able to be a coach? Is she going to be able to
Have
go and be a
commercials.
scout? We don't know, right?
Mhm.
So when I say I know, I said it quickly, and I don't want people to lose perspective that in her case, $200,000 a year is no guarantee of the rest of her life. So let me put that out there. Now, the second part of this, really, all it's going to take a lot more time, right? So, but that's time if they are managing the product correctly,
This is
right?
a great point.
Because we gotta think the NBA didn't come out gangbusters,
Mm-hmm.
right? And remember when Jordan started getting his really big contracts, it was the first of their kind at that point, and then others started getting those mega deals of 30 million a year and things like that. Until that, no, right?
Mm-hmm.
It took Harlem Globetrotters. It took some spectacles to help bring basketball to where it is today, right? And that took a lot of work and a lot of years, right? When you look at the NFL, same thing. Back when we won the Super Bowl 40 years ago, players wasn't making near what they're making now. Some of them made a great living, but still, more than not, most of them didn't have what they have now, which is able to retire early from the sport and be able to live comfortably for the rest of their
So
lives.
I,
It
I
takes time.
I agree and disagree with you though. I disagree because yes, the NBA took a while to rev up, but the NBA didn't have the advantage of a behemoth organization that was doing the exact same thing that was essentially supporting their product, which the WNBA has. It's not really starting from scratch. It's starting from the foundation that the NBA has already set. And I would argue as well that the progression we've seen thus far from the WNBA probably doesn't compare well to the progression that the NBA had for the same duration of time. However, I will say I agree with you from the standpoint that I think the WNBA is poorly run. It was just what a month ago that there was that. I don't know if it was the championship or the most valuable player for the WNBA finals, but they had an award for this lady, and it was basically like this little this little teacup award. It looked like something you would get at a high school for like the best science project. It looked absolutely crazy. Like they put no effort into it whatsoever. It looked extremely cheap, and you could tell that the woman who won the award was kind of embarrassed to hold it up. To be honest,
Yeah.
like I there's just no way anyone of real competency would have allowed that to happen. And so I definitely agree with you that the WNBA is poorly managed, but I would also say to attract good management, you need to actually pay them. So if you're not generating real income, it's hard to get real talent. That's just the name of the game. So again, it comes down to how much money you actually generating. So I feel like the WNBA needs to do more to make the product on the floor something that's going to attract people. But also at the end of the day, again, women have to decide, you know what? We are going to support this. We are going to make this successful because it's important to us that the Women's Basketball League does well because we want to see these sisters doing well. That decision has to be made before WNBA is really going to take off. You
See,
can't
let me
expect
see,
men to be the one to prop it up.
let me say, like, because as far as the product, let me speak on that. I just watched the WNBA game the other day, and boy, I love it more than the
Oh,
NBA.
come
I
on.
mean,
Stop that,
they
bro.
they
Stop
they
that,
play,
bro.
they play with more intensity, right? They play like they got something to prove, which they do.
Uh huh.
I'm sorry to say. I mean, yes, I love to see the dunks in the NBA, but now
Hmm.
they're hoisting up threes every doggone game. There's no defense anywhere in the NBA. And so, as far as the product goes, when I look at it with totally just like put it side by side, I like what the WNBA is doing. It has nothing to do with the product. Here's what it has to do with: it's straight mismanagement. And if you think about every city that they're in right now, the WNBA,
Hmm.
here's what I would do, especially with the Chicago Sky who just won a championship. Why is there not a push to invest in getting more girls basketball teams throughout some of these elementary schools that can support them. Why? Right?
Because there's no money in it.
Great teams, right? When you look at it at base level, great teams don't just get a bunch of great free agents and sustain success,
Mm-hmm.
right? They also have to work at getting great draft picks, looking at college, they look at high school for they even go as far as elementary school and start determining. They
Mm-hmm.
saw what's his name, Zion Williamson in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You have to cultivate the talent to get it into your league. And you don't even have a good number of girls teams in the
But
cities that you're in.
those schools, though, they're not going to put that type of effort into it because they have no confidence whatsoever that people would actually come to watch the product. And why would they believe that when nobody is coming to watch the WNBA? And the idea that the product is not part of the problem and that the product that the WNBA puts out is on some level comparable to what you see in the NBA. Nah, man. There's millions of views on YouTube dedicated strictly to compilation videos of these sisters missing shots, not being able to dunk, showing little to no athleticism. It doesn't compare at all to the NBA. And I do agree that on some level, that's a management problem and that things need to change about how the game is played in the WNBA to make the product look better. But as it stands right here, right now, I understand you watch one game and you enjoyed it. That's fine. Watch 20 games straight. It's just not the same. It's not a comparable level of quality. And I would say that's both because of the players and because of the management. And
Watch
in
a
the total
Bulls game after Lonzo Ball went unhealthy. Watch a
uh-huh.
Bulls game and you will see lots of unathletic plays. You will see lots of bullshit up and down the court. They can't even do a half court set. They can't do anything without Lonzo Ball on that team. And they have arguably, they got Zach LaVine, they got DeMar DeRozan, Caruso, and Booyacek. They're supposed to have athletic guys and scores. And look what they do without that one guy. Look at those games. Okay? Look, and even beyond that argument, right? Elementary schools do not care if people are coming to those games. I have been to many elementary school basketball games over my time. There's barely anybody there at most of them. They don't care as long as somebody's flipping the bill to do it. They don't care. And it's an easy bill to flip, to pay a referee from the park district to come and referee the games and to get a few jerseys out. They can do that. They're being lazy about it. They don't. The school has no care at the elementary school level, and if
I
you
don't think
cultivate
it's
it
fair to call
there,
people lazy when they're not even sure there's any interest. Like, why are you so confident that they'd be able to pull the team together?
why wouldn't they? Why are we confident that they couldn't?
I don't feel like it. I don't feel like they could. I don't feel like that's when you look like nationwide, as far as women who are interested in basketball, who are interested in those types of sports, period. Like imagine that a women's NFL league came about. Do you feel like there'd be all of a sudden women across the country who want to play football? Like
That's
my
why you
wife,
have to
my
cultivate
wife
it.
never sits next to me when I'm watching Bulls games. She's always like, "Oh, you're watching sports? All right, I'm going to go do something else." Like
That's
it's not
why
the
you
same.
have to cultivate it. You don't just sit on your hands. You got lots of girls who probably got some good talent to be able to do it.
Hmm.
But if you never offer it, how do you know? That's a surefire way you're not going to cultivate much response. If you never offer it,
That's true.
at my daughter's elementary school right now, there are two girls teams. One for fifth and sixth grade, another for seventh and eighth.
Hmm.
And they are full rosters.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, you can't tell me you can't get more interest than you got right now in a city where we just won the WNBA title.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, you can't tell me that. So, Chicago, one of the meccas of basketball, you're telling me we don't have enough girls to foster some more teams in this city. And if you start at the elementary school level and get them to start getting excited about it there, it will start leading into high school. And if it starts bleeding into high school, then you're going to start seeing some traction. But you're not getting any because you're not even trying out there.
Okay. I'll concede this to you. Okay. Okay.
Now, we can argue all
And
day if the product from WNBA is better than the product from NBA. But what I can tell you is that no
Mhm.
matter where the product is now, it improves if we cultivate it at the beginning of the cycle instead of waiting.
I agree. Now with you putting it like that, yes, I agree with that. I agree with that. I mean, frankly, I have a daughter. I would love to see my daughter join a basketball team and be able to be a part of that and get her own taste of, being able to play a sport and work within a team and all the things that you're able to develop from being a part of that kind of environment. So